I'm more convinced than ever that the key to the story is element 115. If you could get to that piece and have it independently analyzed, I think it would prove beyond all question that it came from somewhere else. We didn't make it. And it would go a long way toward establishing the story that was told by Bob Lazara as truth. So I think about that a lot. I think about the cloud chamber experiment. I get a lot of emails from people who say, oh, God, where's this video? You owe it to the world to show this video. Cough it up. And I tell them, look, I've looked for it. I've got all these boxes of crap and stuff and tape and news clippings, and I've looked for it and I can't find it. But when somebody like you comes and talks to me about the Bob Lazara story, it gets the juices flowing again. You know, I can't help it. I'm human, and right now I want to go find that tape.
I went through every tape that Bob had in his personal home archive, and one of those tapes on the outside in tiny, tiny little scribble said cloud chamber. And lo and behold, there's about just less than a minute of that cloud chamber test on tape. I have it.
People have been so pissed at me over the years I can't find that tape, or they think I'm hiding it on purpose, but I've looked everywhere for it, and if you found it, that's awesome.
I did. Now here's the deal. In typical, Bob Lazara fashion, there's only about a minute of it. However, after all these years, 30 years, we have some footage of it, but it doesn't prove shit because it's recorded over.
I was there the night that they did the cloud chamber test. I couldn't tell you what it was. I didn't know what a cloud chamber was. This beam of light was bent, and it was bent because they had element 115 in as part of the experiment. I said, well, that's pretty important. That would be huge to include in the story.
I spent time trying to understand why everybody was saying this 115 being stabilized is pseudoscience. So I called some of the top heavy element physicists on the planet, from Russia to up in San Francisco to Washington, D.C., and I spoke with, about 8 or 9, but 3 in particular who would really talk to me in depth about it. All of them, across the board, said you cannot rule out a stabilized version of element 115. In fact, that we believe it is theorized that it, in the island of stability, that it would and could and probably does exist. So their way of saying it is, we can't rule it out. So all these people saying that is pseudoscience, what Bob said about element 115, I wanted to find out, is it pseudoscience? And definitively, we cannot rule out a stabilized form of element 115. I'm sorry, it is not pseudoscience. And after doing this research, that argument no longer holds water.
Makes perfect sense that it could be stable, and scientists have said it for a long time. So of course you can't rule it out. Again, if you want to disbelieve Bob, if you want to cross him off the list and say he's a fraud, then your research goes 1 inch deep and you say element 115 as he described it can't exist, and then move on. If you want to be honest about it and dig further into it and understand it, then you're going to find out that, in fact, what Bob says does make sense. It can be true.